Okay, guys. So I'm getting pretty excited for the War Within. Honestly, we have like less than a month to go until it comes out. I've already got it pre-ordered, and I have a Warlock and a Warrior, and I still have my boost to use on probably a Paladin. I'm thinking for the War Within. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to see how everything goes first, but and I'm pretty excited for it. So let's talk about this video of top 10 reasons to be excited for the War
Hey
Within.
folks, this is Kalani. The War Within is almost here. We don't have too much longer to wait, so what better—
I know a lot of you guys are RuneScape players. Like I know a lot of everybody who watches my channel. That's where you guys come from. And I don't know if you've played any other MMOs, but like I find RuneScape to be this really good game to play over a super long time, and I find these games to be really excellent for those breaks in between when I'm playing RuneScape, and I just want something where I can drop in for a month and make really, really big goals and progress happen. Like if you play a month of World of Warcraft, you can experience almost everything except the absolute tip of the iceberg, top tier. You're one of the greatest raiders in the game, or you're doing really high level battleground stuff. Like you can experience the casual version of absolutely everything in less than a month. Same thing with SO, same thing with Final Fantasy XIV. All of those games have that kind of ability to them, and I really enjoy that about them.
better time to go over some of the best new and updated features coming through with this expansion. With so much to look forward to, and with the dev team learning from all the best parts
I will pull you all to World of Warcraft eventually.
Dragonflight, the War Within is shaping up to be an amazing adventure.
Yeah,
so let's
I think it's going to be a really
top
good time.
10 reasons to get excited for the War Within.
I think they're making some quality of life changes to the War Within that are absolutely going to make me, as a person who likes to solo play MMOs a lot, very happy, while also placating the people who don't like solo playing MMOs. And there's a lot of account-wide features that are happening that make it much easier to share things across your characters, so you don't have to put as much time into just jumping into a game that is moving increasingly towards more casual play.
Within, and what we are most excited about specifically. Now, before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video.
Like, it lit up when he said that. That's cool.
Recreated the foundation for World of Warcraft, and the War Within expansion will be taking what made Dragonflight good and making it even better. For example, the skywriting or dynamic.
Dragonflight was pretty fun. I enjoyed the movement across the maps. I enjoyed questing. I enjoyed getting my dragon getting all the dragon sigils all over the place. I enjoyed learning the world of Dragonflight. I liked grinding out all of my different little things to upgrade my gear. I thought it was a fun time. I enjoyed it. I think it's one of my least favorite aesthetics that they've done in any of their expansions so far, and any of their X packs, but in general, I thought it was pretty good.
Flight system will be expanded upon to
I just don't like this super colorful,
mount,
cartoony, whimsical kind of look for a game like World of Warcraft that I think of being kind of dark and brooding when I was younger.
So we're no longer limited to just the 5 or 6 mounts that we collected throughout Dragonflight.
Yeah.
You can even skyride with mounts that don't have wings. So we'll have much more freedom of which mounts to use, and any new flying mount should also have skywriding enabled as well. Now you can also...
I love mount collecting in WoW. That's one of the things that you don't get in some other MMOs, is this depth of collectionism that you can have in WoW. Like, people are really playing this game at high levels. I mean, this is a gross over-exaggeration, because there's like sections of the population that are playing it for other things, but people are really playing WoW at higher levels to increase their collection, and one of the things that shows you how long someone's been playing this game is by examining them and seeing how big their collection is and how many achievements they've done.
Freely switch between skywriding and steady flying with a new button at the top of your mount journal. You do need to be dismounted to change flying style, but for the most part you can swap back and forth pretty freely.
Why would you not want a dragon ride? Like, why? Like, it's so fast.
There will be an achievement tied to steady.
Now, I do think that there is something about classic, or like regular WoW flight, where you're just holding down a button and you're just sort of zoned out. I do think there is something quintessentially World of Warcraft about that feeling. Like, all of the old videos that you've ever seen of people playing World of Warcraft are just them hovering in the air and moving forward. I remember when I first started playing WoW way back in the day, and taking your first Griffin somewhere and realizing that one day I'm going to get to call the shots. I'm going to get to fly around this world, and that was so exciting for me.
In the War Within zones, but it's relatively easy to complete, and you should be able to unlock that soon after reaching max level. You just need to complete the main storylines for each of the new 4 zones and explore all of them as well. The talent system for dragon riding,
So it's basically like Final Fantasy XIV system for unlocking flying in each new zone.
or sky riding, has also been streamlined, and it's no longer tied to dragonflight glyphs. As you level up, you're going to earn sky riding proficiency, which lets you unlock talents in this new trimmed down tree. So any new player who is leveling up for the first time will earn these talents as they level, instead of needing to go out of their way to hunt down all of the glyphs.
Yeah.
We're also going to see some important profession changes. Perhaps the most impactful change will be the addition...
I hope that this is the X-Pack where I really get into professions. I have not had a single X-Pack so far that I've played through that I've played enough of or from the beginning to really start to use professions. I have been able to go all the way up to, you know, because of the time frame that I've been playing in and how they've sort of decreased difficulty of things over time. I have never needed to do any professions in order to play all the way up to a Mythic 1.
Of NPC or patron work orders. I know for a lot of folks, actually getting and completing work orders to progress through their skill ups, complete quests, get credit for achievements, and earn more profession knowledge was a pretty difficult task in Dragonflight. Between the restrictions on public orders and the lack of profession knowledge catch-up, it only became harder as you tried to compete with crafters who can guarantee...
I actually couldn't find any profession orders to do on my server. I play on Storm... I can't remember what it is at this point, but whatever server I was playing on made it very difficult for sure.
Result. But NPC crafting orders are going to change all of that. To start with, it gives you a guaranteed source of crafting orders, so you can complete any objective or requirement that asks you to interact with that system.
But I'm like really excited, like genuinely. I'm going to be playing The War Within when it comes out on release. I'm going to be making content about it. I will, like, legitimately be making content about it because I'm just interested in getting out there and playing this game, and you know, I think it'll be fun.
NPC crafting orders will also be one of the major sources of the new artisan metal resource, as well as profession knowledge. Knowledge will also have weekly caps this time, so early birds can't get so far ahead by using questionable methods, and there will be catch-up baked into the system right from the get-go. So not only will there be hard caps on how quickly everyone can obtain knowledge and how far you can get per week, but even if you fall behind, you'll be able to catch up fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't see that massive...
This is one thing that I really like about WoW is their catch-up mechanics that they put in. Like, I'm not someone who is playing WoW consistently all the time. It is not my main game. It is not the game that I enjoy playing the most. And I like that because Blizzard is kind of running it into the ground a lot of times. And I like not having to have my happiness in life based off of how well this game is doing. I like not having to be one of those people who can't be excited for a new X-Pack in WoW because I tie my own self-worth to the game and its success. Like, I enjoy that fact. So I like that they have catch-up mechanics.
It's a disparity between the hardcore crafters and what a casual player can obtain. The way material quality interacts with crafts will be changing as well. It will be harder to get your hands on the Tier 2 and Tier 3 raw materials, and Tier 1 materials will remain the baseline gathering tier, even for maxed out gatherers. So Tier 2 and Tier 3 will
all this is going directly over my head because I don't know anything about
higher
professions.
Tiers of intermediate materials will also be harder, and the crafting skill increase you get for using higher tier materials was increased significantly. So getting those higher tiers of materials...
I can never get a straight answer on what I'm going to use the most as X class or this class or whatever, which crafting professions I actually need to take on, what the best way to do those crafting professions is. I can never get this idea. And I know that crafting is one of those systems in this game that has been built on over the years, and there are people that make their entire play style about crafting. And so I'm really interested in what's happening with it, but I just can't break in.
It will be harder, but using them will definitely be
worth it.
If
you're a crafter in World of Warcraft, please, I'd love to learn from you.
Crafting results. And then the last big change is to Inspiration. That stat is being removed entirely and is being replaced with a new concentration mechanic. You'll passively regenerate concentration, and you can spend concentration to guarantee a rank up of your next craft. So instead of it being random, like a crit chance for crafts, it will now be more reliable, but it will use this new resource. There's also a new stat that gives you a chance to refund concentration when used, so there is still a little bit of RNG at play here, but as long as you have concentration, you can produce some great results. I think if you enjoyed professions in Dragonflight, you'll definitely love the changes as we head into The War Within, and if you didn't enjoy them, The War Within actually addressed a lot of the pain points.
It's not that I didn't enjoy them, it's just that I don't really understand, you know? Like, I just don't, what I mean by I don't understand is, like, I don't know how to do them efficiently in a way that doesn't make me want to slam my head into the wall or necessitate that I have an unbelievably large cash stack.
So you should give professions another shot in The War Within. They're shaping up to be really cool so far. Now, the way leveling works will also be changing, and you won't have to go through the Dragonflight expansion anymore. So instead of Chromie time working up to level 60, and then you needing to level up in the Dragonars to 70, and then move on to the War Within, you can just do Chromie time until level 70. Cool. So you can level up to the War Within expansion in any other expansion of your choice, including Dragonflight if you really want to, but now Dragonflight will also cover levels 10 to...
There's like a really... specific leveling pattern that people follow in this game. WoW is also one of these games that has like tons and tons of secret metas. A lot of people do very specific maps for different things, and then they'll end up in which one is it that everyone goes to? Is it Warlords of Draenor? Everyone goes to Warlords of Draenor because there's such dense XP in that place, and you can just fly from place to place, and it makes it really easy to level
70, not just 60 to 70. So we'll have far more options for how to level up moving forward.
That's cool.
The default level...
I would like to work on a mage during this time. I tried to play Mists of Pandaria Remix, and I was just so burned out on WoW at that point because I had been putting in like 2.5, 3 months into WoW already. Just really working on a Warlock and getting him up and just really focusing on raids and doing all that stuff. So when Mists of Pandaria Remix came out, I was already burned out and I ended up not playing it, but I really want to play a mage. Like, there's something about that and the way everyone talks about mages as if they're just unbelievably good in World of Warcraft that I want to see what that's about.
Expansion has also been changed to be Dragonflight, which means that brand new players will have that.
One of the things that I absolutely love about World of Warcraft is how it feels... So World of Warcraft is really good at making it feel very normalized across the classes at the very beginning, and by the end you can barely believe that the class that you're playing is running on the same game as something like a warrior, that the warlock that you're playing is running on the same game that a warrior is. They all feel so extremely different. Oh, that might be a bad example, but like they all feel so extremely different in the mechanics that are being used and the way that the combat actually plays out. With just hotkeys, you start to really feel like, oh, I'm holding a controller in my hand and these buttons do different things. I mean, it feels like the difference between playing like Elder Scrolls, or not Elder Scrolls, but yeah, sure, playing Elder Scrolls and Elden Ring. That's like the difference in the combat styles of some of the classes in the game. It's really cool.
As their default
it feels really fun to play different classes.
Them up much better when compared to the previous leveling option of Battle for Azeroth. There are also some significant experience...
But I also find it very slow to get used to characters in this game. Like, it takes me a super long time while I'm leveling up a character to click with what they're actually doing, especially as someone who's not super well versed in it the way that a whole bunch of other people are. But it's such an enjoyable experience to get versed that way.
Requirement changes that will smooth out the leveling process up to 70 and make it a lot faster as well, which again is great for the new player experience.
Good for them. The level creep is coming in again.
Should be long enough to let you work through the vast majority of an expansion storyline, most importantly the Dragonflight storyline, but not be too long as to put new players off. So things being a bit faster will help newer folks get ready for the War Within as well.
I want to Fury spec my warrior. I've been arms ever since I made my warrior, and I want to Fury spec it so bad. It looks so much faster and so much more fun to play.
Separating the game into two distinct sections before the current expansion and then the current expansion should make things much easier to understand.
Dude, I get so excited looking at World of Warcraft.
To get any alts that you still need to level caught up. Something else that's going to be much better in the War Within is transmog farming. We'll finally be able to unlock almost any piece of transmog when it drops for us as loot, even if we can't actually use that item.
Very good,
Up until now, you could only unlock transmog items for your class, so mail gear for mail wearers, plate gear for plate wearers, and if you couldn't use a weapon, you couldn't unlock the transmog for it. But moving forward, you'll earn the transmog for any piece of gear that drops. So it doesn't matter if you can't use it, you can still get the transmog added to your collection so your other characters can use it. This will make it much easier and faster to collect transmog, and you'll be collecting things for the armor types you might not play.
I absolutely love that. As someone who is just coming into WoW in the past year and a half, that makes it so much easier for me when I'm actually playing this game, because like having a dense transmog makes you feel really, really good. Like, I only have a couple of sets in this game that actually look decent because getting a transmog is so hard, especially when you think about the fact that if you run through old DLC dungeons or if you run through old DLC raids and you're just one-shotting everything, you still only have one chance to actually get most of the good drops per character. And like, if you get a plate drop on your hunter and then you get the mail drop on your warrior, you're just absolutely SOL. And I find that to be extremely frustrating for someone who doesn't have any reason to be there doing these things except to get transmog. So usually if I'm getting transmog, it's I've run out of everything else to do in this game for this week, and I'm just waiting for the next week to happen, and I'm trying to go back and do old raids and dungeons because of that. I've found some piece of gear that I think looks cool, and I want to collect it.
As much. If you've been following us for a while, you probably know I mostly play my hunter, so it's no surprise that while I have a lot
Hunter
of male
mains, dude.
transmog unlocked, I don't have too much for the other armor types. It's always a bit of a struggle trying to make a cool transmog whenever I start playing another character, so these changes are going to be huge, and I'm definitely way more interested in heading back into old raids and dungeons to try and collect some more transmog. The same rules are going to apply to
I can't stand Hunter. I don't know why. Maybe it's I'm playing Beastmaster. That's probably a good part of it. But I just find Hunter to be so boring. I like the movement of Hunter. I like how quick they are, but besides that, dude, I just find it to be so boring. I started playing it because I found my Arms Warrior, especially in raids, to be too difficult for me. And so I was like, what's the easiest class to play? And everyone said Beastmaster Hunter, and then I was just disappointed. I was like, oh, this goes way easier than I thought.
You only need to farm rep
Your
on
little
one
brother
character
could play
now because
Beastmaster
you can
Hunter.
buy gear for other armor types and still earn the transmog, even if you can't use that piece of gear. The warband system will also help us out with this moving forward, but we'll talk more about that in just a minute. And then the last major change is going to be for quests. Whenever you complete a quest that rewards you with a piece of gear, you will also unlock all of the transmogs for all rewards that can be obtained for that quest.
That is really good. So you only have to level one character through the quest line to get the transmogs for that quest line. That is really good.
As rewards anymore. So if you're a leather wearer, you're only going to see the leather quest reward options, but other classes and armor types would get different rewards, which would also mean different transmogs. Previously, you'd have to complete that quest on every armor type to get all of those transmogs, but now you get them all the first time you complete the quest. So the first time we work through quests in the War Within, we are going to be unlocking a whole bunch of transmog for each quest. The War Within will also give us a lot of different endgame options, probably more than we've ever had before. They're building upon what made Dragonflight so accessible, so everyone will have plenty of content to sink their teeth into up at max level. We'll see a new raid, of course, which looks to have some great bosses so far. The environment and story seem amazing as well, so I am very excited to jump into that.
If you've never experienced big-time raiding on a World of Warcraft character, like if you've never played that much World of Warcraft, if you happen to be one of the few people who still haven't given it a really serious try, like, please get in there and do it. It is such a different kind of vibe from a lot of other games that you play, and the content that's available to you and the way it feels to raid with that many people and to move in unison with that many people is just so enthralling. There's not a whole lot of really massive PvM games that capture the feeling as well as WoW does, and I think that you're missing out if you haven't tried it yet.
Dungeons will remain a cornerstone of the endgame loop, and with the huge changes that came through in Season 4, they will arguably be even more important and impactful. Heroic dungeons will stay relevant for longer and offer you a good way to get gear through queuable content. Mythic dungeons give you huge rewards without the timers or affixes of Mythic Plus, and Mythic Plus is changing yet again. All of those new weird affixes are being stripped out, all of the bad +7 affixes are being stripped out, and we'll have a much more reliable Mythic Plus experience in general. Cool. So you really don't have to learn a bunch of different affixes to progress through the Mythic Plus system this time, which will be a very interesting change of pace as well. PvP is changing.
I don't know, it looks good to me, dude. Like, I think that they're taking everything that I enjoyed about Dragonflight and making it better, and I think that they're taking everything that I didn't enjoy about Dragonflight and getting rid of it. And I think that that's really, really exciting. Like, as somebody who just... I felt like playing Dragonflight, that if I was pushed to continue playing, I could have kept playing Dragonflight for, especially near the end of it, when all the seasons were coming to an end, I could have been pushed to continue playing for hours and hours. By the way, to anybody who's doing pre-patch content right now, pre-DLC content, please let me know if I need to log in and do that before the game actually starts, and if so, how much time I need to allot to be able to do that, because I want to be ready to go on day one, and I'm not exactly sure how much time I need to do that. I've never been here pre-patch before. I've never paid enough attention to WoW to actually be ready for the next DLC when it comes out, and so I really want to make sure that I'm doing that. Just to anybody who's here and watching this video, please.
Quite a bit as well with the rated Battleground Blitz. There will be a new Battleground 2, and gearing up should be more reliable with straightforward progression. We'll also see a lot of new world content and events, so even if you don't want to jump into group content, we will have a lot of things to do. The weekly vault is also being opened up to introduce a world content row, so everyone can work towards and earn some big weekly gear rewards, no matter how you decide to play. But the largest new addition will be Delves. Delves offers something that we have.
I am really, really excited for Delves. As a solo player, I cannot wait. I like the fact that you're going to bring people in with you, or like the companions in with you to do things. I think this looks super cool. This is one of the things that I feel like I'm going to get lost in, doing it for hours and hours and hours and hours. Like this, I think is going to be a big deal for me.
Haven't really seen in a while. True end game progression that is available to solo content players.
Yeah.
You can jump into Delves by yourself or with
I'm going to have a really good time not having to rely on a guild of people to be able to gear up to then be able to get into a guild. It is super frustrating to have to rub elbows with people to prove that I'm a decent enough player for them to actually care about me being in the game. I get that you have all been here for a very long time. I have not. I still want to experience the game, and I still want to push myself and learn about this game in these kinds of ways. And I want to be able to do that without having to basically get down on my hands and knees and scrub floors for a guild. I want to prove myself by pushing myself on my own.
To a party of 5, so it's going to be very flexible. Maybe you just want to run things solo and see how far you go, or maybe you have 1 or 2 friends that aren't consistently on at the same time, but it doesn't really matter because you can go in as 2 players, 3 players, or
Tiff and I are going to have a really good time with this. I feel like I'm going to get Tiff back into World of Warcraft during this expansion.
Find a few more friends, up to 5. The flexibility is great, and it will ensure that you can at least do something related to Delves, even if you have to go solo every now and then. There are 13 delves coming with the War Within launch, so we'll have a lot of variety to keep things interesting, and each delve has different puzzles, objectives, and bosses for you to clear through. They're like a mini solo dungeon. You'll also be able to level up a special companion to make your adventures a bit smoother, so the more experience you earn for your companion, the more they can...
I love the companion system in ESO. I think it's a great addition to the game, and I hope that it goes along the same style in this one. It looks like it kind of is.
Progression. You can also kit them out with special curios or trinkets to give them even more utility and special abilities. Delves are also going to offer you a...
This is the thing about World of Warcraft. It's been around for so long. There's so many classic Andes that they just absolutely can't stand big changes happening to World of Warcraft. But I like that it's evolving to keep up with all the other MMOs of the day. I mean, there aren't that many of them anymore to really keep up with. But like, these are features that people appreciate because as time goes on and as the world gets more segmented, like, it's harder and harder to find people to play the game with. You have less and less time to spend, on here making friends in guilds. You're all separated from your real life friends by these servers because WoW still has this giant server problem. Like, there are reasons to do this.
Decent challenge, kind of what like Mage Towers offered back when they were first introduced. Delves will have 11 tiers of difficulty and they get pretty hard. So if you want to push yourself and clear through hard content without having to rely on a steady group like you would have to for dungeons or raids, Delves will fit that bill quite nicely.
Oh, that's so
You'll
cool.
also see better rewards than usual for solo player content. You should be able to earn yourself up to heroic raid equivalent item levels from Delves, which means they truly will be a competitive endgame gear source.
And then you can move directly into Mythic from that. That's really cool. So you almost like learn how to play the game by doing Delves all alone, and then that gets you enough gear so that you can take what you've learned and put it into the Mythic rating. And I think that's really, really cool. They're trying to make a pathway to Mythic rating because that is what World of Warcraft is really about at the end of the day. That's what they know that all of the people want to do, is these giant, large-scale raids at the highest difficulties.
Also going to...
But historically, it's been really hard to get to those because of the gatekeeping that everyone does in World of Warcraft.
Contribute to your outdoor world content weekly vault row, so everyone will be able to get some big upgrades from the weekly vault in the War Within, not just the group content players. Playing your characters is also going to change quite significantly due to major class updates, but also because of the new hero talent system. Hero talents let you tap into more specific facets of your class and kind of further specialize how you want to deal damage and what kinds of aspects of your class you want.
This looks cool and I'm interested in this. I think that it will be good to have one more layer of customization because I like the idea that not only is your spec going to really matter based on how your play style is, but also you're going to have a decision at the end of your spec to make that will then allow people of the same spec to feel kind of different in the raid, because a lot of times it feels like one spec becomes the only thing that matters, and that'll probably still happen in here. But if they do a good job of balancing things, then we will have a lot of variety inside of a raid. And you'll see, my favorite thing about WoW is when you're in a raid with someone else and you see what they're doing and you go, I wish I was doing that, and then you make a new character.
I want to emphasize, each hero talent can be used by 2 different specializations. For example, mages can use the Frost Fire hero talent tree to combine the powers of frost and fire magic if they are either frost or fire spec'd. They can use Sun Fury as fire or arcane mages, and then Spellslinger as frost or arcane mages. This also means that every spec has access to 2 different hero talent trees, so you can choose the one which fits your desired aesthetic or character fantasy best, or just swap between them whenever you want to change up how your character plays without needing to respec or play a different character. Each hero talent tree does something special and reinforces a key fantasy element of each class. Curiously, we'll be able to unlock every...
They look a lot like the dragon talents or the dragon riding skills.
...node in these new trees by the time we hit max level, so the only real choices you have in here are which hero talent tree to play, and then a few choice nodes scattered throughout each tree. So you don't have to worry about which talents are the best in these trees, you'll have access to all of it eventually.
And you can build your play style around whatever you feel actually feels the best.
Want, and freely swap between the hero talent trees, so you're never locked in. You can change things up in the same way you can change ordinary talents or your equipped gear. New talents, abilities, and effects are always exciting, so I can't wait to tinker about with the hero talents when the expansion goes live. Now, one of the more exciting changes coming with the new expansion
this is my favorite,
warbands.
Yep.
Warbands take us away from character-specific progression and towards account-wide progression. So instead of each character needing to work through each new feature...
And thank goodness for this. To people who don't play World of Warcraft, to people who only play RuneScape that watch my channel, one thing that you have to learn about World of Warcraft is that the entirety of the game... So if you take like the entirety of RuneScape, World of Warcraft is just as big and just as complicated as RuneScape is, but not on a single character. It's account-wide that it's that big and complicated. And it has been a ridiculous frustration trying to get into this game and knowing that I'm super locked out of certain things based on the class that I'm playing and also based on the spec that I'm playing. And their movement towards making it so that one character will help you much more complete the game, it makes it super good. Because, like, you know, I have a couple of alts that I want to play, and, like, the fact that you have to gear up every single alt that you play, that you have to spend, you really need to pick which class you're going to main in World of Warcraft, at least historically, because the time that you spend on that one main, that one character, will stand apart from every other character. And unless you're going to have another full-time job leveling up one of your alts, then, like, you have to just deal with the fact that you're not going to have a really, really good alt to switch between. So it creates this problem that I think they're trying to solve now, and I'm really excited about it.
The vast majority of your progress will be carried over to every character on your account. The best examples of this for the War Within are the new Renown and Reputation factions, well as Delves. For the Renown factions...
I'm excited for it all to coalesce. I hope that all the achievements that I've gotten on all of my characters immediately just go all together and that I can see that big number jump.
It's super simple. Renown unlocks, rewards, and progress are all account-wide. So if you unlock anything in the Renown track on your character, all of your alts will have those same unlocks without having to re-grind the system. If you get halfway through on one character, then decide you want to switch mains, you can pick up right where you left off without losing any progress. Now for Delves, your companion progress is also account-wide, so no matter what character you are doing Delves on, your experience contributions count for every alt as well.
So you can go through faster on your alts for the Delves because you have a companion already who's leveled up. That's really cool.
Your alts will start with a leveled up companion to help make Delves a bit easier to progress through again, but any time also spent on alts will level up your companion for your main, so it's not wasted time or effort.
I always thought that Maplestory had the best system for alts ever, being that anytime you spend on your alts will level up your Legion total level, which increases your power level on your main account no matter what. I always thought that was incredible. Because they have like 90 characters in that game, it made it feel like there was a reason to actually play all of them.
Curios and trinkets that you get and upgrade for companions also seem to be warband wide, so that's another progression system that you'll be sharing between characters. And the tiers you unlock for delves also seem to be warband wide, so you can skip over some levels without having to clear through all of them again. So warbands ensure that your progress matters and sticks around, even if you play a bunch of different characters or change characters often. We'll also have a new warband bank, so you can share all of your materials across characters much easier. You can transfer currencies between characters straight from the currency window,
cool.
And things like flight pass and exploration are unlocked on an account-wide basis as well. But one of my favorite additions with the warband...
It is going to be so fun to jump around on characters in this DLC. I cannot wait for that. I love my warrior. I love my warlock. I begrudgingly have a hunter. Like I want to have a reason to continue to build up more characters, and especially if I can just say like, oh, I'm going to play a demon hunter this time, and I'm just going to like move through the game on him, and then I can just have all that progress on my warlock. That makes me want to do it so much more.
Feature is warband bound gear. We'll see some examples of this soon in the pre-patch, but the scope of this new type of gear goes way beyond just easy catch-up gear at the end of a patch or expansion. As far as we know, whenever you're doing endgame content, so raids, dungeons, delves, any of that stuff, you'll have a chance to also receive warband bound gear as personal loot. So when you kill a raid boss, you might get an extra, totally free piece of gear that can be traded and used by any of your ults.
Dude, so doing raids is going to help you gearing your alts as well, so you can bring those alts into raids to then help gear your alts so that you can make this like huge knock-on effect of just quicker progression. I think that that's good. I really do. I know that people want World of Warcraft to be this game that you just play eternally forever and ever, but as someone who only pops in for 2 or 3 months, 4 or 5 months out of the year, depending on how much I actually want to play, like this is a really, really welcome change for me. Like I am so unbelievably excited for it.
Warband bound gear will be one upgrade track below the actual gear reward.
And listen, you guys are still going to be way better than me at the game. You don't have to worry about this somehow negating all the stuff that you do and all the extra time that you're going to put in. Like, I'm obviously still going to suck more than you. I'm still going to be below you in the DPS ratings. Like, you know, it's going to be fine, guys, for real. It's just going to make my experience better and give you guys a larger plethora of people that you can actually tolerate in your raids.
So if you're killing raid bosses or clearing dungeons that reward you with hero track gear, the warband bound gear will be champion track gear. So it's not quite as good as the content that you're clearing. It will always be about one major step behind, but that is going to be an amazing piece of gear to gear up your ults and get them caught up much faster. And it's basically free gear. Warbands truly do change how the game plays as a whole, and it may be one of the most game-changing systems we've ever seen added to WoW. Something else I am super excited about in the War Within is the sheer potential being laid out in front of us. This is the first time we're seeing so far into the future. Usually we only get an expansion at a time, and even then we never get to see that full picture, but the War Within is just the start of the World Soul Saga.
So
we know we're setting up for a Void expansion in Midnight, and then we're heading towards a potential accumulation of the entire Warcraft universe up until this point in The Last Titan. This isn't just a one-off story plot point where we deal with Xalatath, stop the threats lurking below Khazalgar, and then move on to the next cool thing Blizzard comes up with. This is a full arc, a story saga, and we're only just setting the stage. With how the War Within is shaping up so far, this first installment of the World Soul Saga is going to be a blast, which only makes me more excited for the parts that come afterwards. But the most exciting thing coming in the War Within has got to be
Kalani. Even your vast knowledge pales in comparison to the infinite expanse of the void. But no matter, you can only watch as the void consumes all. You and all you know shall be mine.
Dude, I'm so excited. I mean, I think it looks really, really good. Like, I think it's going to be a really, really fun expansion. And I don't know, guys. I mean, let me know what you think. Let me know if you're stoked for it. I think, especially as someone who definitely falls on the more casual play side for World of Warcraft and isn't super, super intense the way I am with RuneScape, like, because I just have to have some games that are actually fun instead of them being a full-time job for me. Like, I can't wait to play some more World of Warcraft. I'm going to have such a good time playing some more World of Warcraft. So I hope to see you guys there. And make sure you like his video. Make sure you subscribe. Like, Kalani's great. It makes good content, guys. Peace out. Be safe.